There's no better way to celebrate my birthday than doing what I love most, talking about movies. Hello everybody, my name is Jesse and welcome to my channel. I just had my 20th birthday, which is still insane to me. I honestly can't believe it. So I figured today I would do something a little fun and give you 20 of my favorite movies of all time. This is not necessarily an official ranking. These are not like my official top 20 movies of all time in this particular order. These are just 20 movies that I really love that I wanted to sit down and talk a little bit about. If you were to ask me to give you this list in another week or another month, this list could be completely different. There were lots of different movies that I considered putting on this list, so let's just get into it. First up on this list, I have Babylon. I love this movie. I love movies that kind of celebrate movies themselves and the history of the art form, and this movie does exactly that. Damien Chazelle knocks out of the park once again, and just everything about this movie, the attention to detail, every single performance is amazing. I love how wild and chaotic it can get at times, and just the way they showed how difficult it was to make that transition from silent film to actual audio and speaking. I just loved how they showed how crazy that could get and how difficult that transition was. Next up, I have Good Will Hunting. This might be one of my favorite screenplays of all time. I just love every single line, the way that every character is written. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck won Best Original Screenplay for this movie, and deservedly so. I absolutely love it. Once again, every performance, most specifically Robin Williams, might be my favorite performance from him. If not, it's top 5. I love him in this movie, and just all of his improvising and really just every single scene with him and Matt Damon together is incredible. Then I have Alien. This is not the only Ridley Scott movie you will see on this list. This is not quite my favorite from him. You will see my favorite Ridley Scott movie much later in this video, but I do really love this movie. Alien is one of my favorite franchises of all time. This movie is easily my favorite of the franchise. I think they nailed it on the first go. I love the kind of mix of sci-fi and horror, and I just think it all works really, really well. I think the suspense works really well with there only being one alien that's picking them all off one by one. I think it's great, and I think Ridley Scott does such a great job with this movie. Then I have Schindler's List. I love war movies. I love history movies. I'm a huge fan of history in general, and this movie is one of Steven Spielberg's best, in my opinion. And it's one that I remember seeing at maybe too young of an age, and I just remember it really opening my eyes to what our history was like just during this time period, and just really being like, wow, damn, we did these things to these people, and these people actually existed. I just remember it being a really eye-opening movie for me, and I think it is exceedingly well made. Again, the attention to detail is insane. Steven Spielberg's direction is perfect, and I just love how well crafted this movie is. Then I have another war/history movie, Oppenheimer. This was my favorite movie of 2023. It is one of my favorite Christopher Nolan movies. Christopher Nolan is my favorite filmmaker of all time, and this isn't the only one of his movies that you will see. I absolutely love everything about this movie. It is so well crafted, so well acted, so well written. Just, I know I keep saying it, but the attention to detail in this movie is incredible. Christopher Nolan really put his all into this movie. He proved once again that he is one of the GOATs, and he knows what he's doing. He knows how to make a phenomenal movie, and the way that he was able to make a 3-hour biopic about a man that's not really that well known among normal people, and he made it into a blockbuster that made almost $1 billion. That's insane. And if that doesn't show the kind of pull that Christopher Nolan has, I don't know what does. This is also one of my favorite Cillian Murphy performances. I think he absolutely nails it. He deserves to win Best Actor, and I love this movie. And the more I think about it, the more I love it. And as you can see in the background, I also have the poster on my wall. So I had to throw a comedy somewhere in there, and the one that I'm going with is Step Brothers. Most days, if I had to choose, this might be my favorite comedy of all time. I have seen it countless times. I really can't even begin to think of how many times I've watched this movie, and it makes me laugh every single time. Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are absolutely perfect. There are just so many different lines, different scenarios, different scenes that make me die laughing every single time. And I think if you can watch a movie over and over again and still laugh every single time, that's a sign of a pretty damn good comedy, and that's exactly what this movie does for me. Now, this next one, I am going to cheat a little bit because it is a 3-in-1. It is the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. I couldn't bring myself to pick just one. I had to include all 3 of them on here. I love all 3 of these movies to death. I think they are phenomenal. We just don't get big, epic fantasy movies like this anymore, which is a shame because it's amazing. And this Peter Jackson did such an incredible job with these movies. The practical effects, the makeup all looks amazing, and I just love seeing Frodo's hero's journey throughout the span of all 3 of these movies. Sam is also an incredible side character. Gollum, played by Andy Serkis, is awesome. And there are just so many different things with all of these movies that I just love everything about. Then I have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is one of my favorite animated movies of all time. And I think this movie really changed the game for animated movies in general, because I think especially in the last couple of years, many animated movies that have come out after this have kind of tried to do their version of what this movie did. You look at movies, especially in DreamWorks, you look at movies like The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. They all kind of tried to experiment with the different animation styles and just getting a lot more creative with the animation that they went with, and that kind of shows the impact that this movie had. On top of that, it is a phenomenal story. Miles is great and has so much growth throughout this film, learning to become Spider-Man, learning what it is to be Spider-Man, and the burden that comes with donning that mask, I think, is all great. Every single side character is fantastic, and I just absolutely love this movie. Then right above that, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Again, one of my favorite animated movies of all time, maybe my favorite. It is absolutely stunning to watch. Every single individual frame is a work of art that I want to hang on my bedroom wall. They put so much effort into this movie, and when you see the finished product, you can understand why there was a 5-year gap between Into the Spider-Verse and this movie. There is so much attention to detail. It all works so incredibly well, and honestly is really insane. I mean, mixing all these different animation styles and different frame rates within the same scene maybe shouldn't work at times, but it does, and it looks incredible. They all pulled it off brilliantly, and I cannot wait for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse in 2027. Next up, I have Jurassic Park, another one of my favorite Steven Spielberg movies, another one that I have seen countless times, and I love it every single time that I watch it. I think this is probably somewhere in my top 10 of all time. I'm actually wearing a Jurassic Park shirt right now. So this movie is amazing. It still blows my mind how they were able to pull off the special effects and of course, John Williams' iconic score. I think this is undebatably one of the most iconic movies of all time. When you hear the score or when you see like the glass of water shaking, you know what movie this is, and I think it's all great. Next up is Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. This is a movie that I have a very fond memory of watching for the very first time. I watched it with my uncle and my parents. My uncle is exceedingly like one of the biggest Star Wars fans that I know, and so I was watching through all the movies with him for the first time, and he could not wait to show me this movie. And there were so many moments that absolutely blew my mind. I vividly remember the scene when Luke and Vader are fighting, and Vader chops Luke's hand off. I vividly remember my jaw dropping at that and just being absolutely blown away. I couldn't believe what I had just witnessed. Yoda is, of course, great in this movie. The music, once again, is awesome. And there's just so many things in this movie that I love. But I think most of my love for this movie does come from the nostalgia of the memories that I have watching it for the first couple times. Then I have my favorite Ridley Scott movie, Gladiator. Again, I have seen this movie more times than I can count. I love it every single time I watch it. There are so many action sequences, so many line deliveries that just can't help but get me fired up every single time I watch them. That the monologue from Russell Crowe when he first reveals himself to Joaquin Phoenix is amazing.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Speaking of Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus, he is a despicable villain that you hate right from the first moment you see him on screen. You cannot wait for him to get taken down at the end of the movie. And I think it genuinely is just such a well-made movie. And both Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix give one of their best performances in this movie. Next, I have Interstellar. This is one of my favorite Christopher Nolan movies. I saw it in IMAX for the first time a couple months ago, or almost a year ago now, actually. And just seeing it on IMAX was a whole other experience. It was amazing seeing it in the theaters. I saw it with my friend. It was his first time watching it, and it is now his favorite movie of all time. This movie is nothing short of amazing. The visuals are all stunning. Hans Zimmer's score, it might be my favorite movie score of all time. I listen to it all the time, and it just can't help but get me motivated and excited every time I listen to it. Then I have another Christopher Nolan movie, Inception, and this is I believe this is one of the first movies that I saw that just really opened my eyes to what a movie could be. Up until this point, I really had never seen a movie this complicated, this well crafted before. Every tiny little thing is just perfect in this movie. And I rewatched it just a couple of days ago, and it still blows my mind, every single thing that Nolan did in this movie. And it really is just mind-blowing how he pulled it all off. Then I have Seven. This is my favorite David Fincher movie, and I love murder mystery detective stories, and that is exactly what this movie is, and I absolutely love it. I love how dark and gritty it is. I love Kevin Spacey as the villain, John Doe. He is creepy, he's absolutely despicable, and you never quite know what he's up to or what he's going to do next. And it's just that suspense that I love about this movie. And you're not necessarily rooting for the villain, but at the same time, you're waiting to see what he's going to do next. There's a certain curiosity that just comes with his villain in this movie, that you want the detectives to win. You want them to catch him, but at the same time, you do want to see what's going to happen next. What is the next crime or murder going to be like? Next up on my list is Whiplash. I think this is J.K. Simmons' best role of his career. He is terrifying and hilarious at the exact same time as Fletcher, and I just love how this movie shows obsession, the idea of how far are you willing to go to get what you want, and in the end, is it really worth it to push yourself to that extent? And just the idea of being completely obsessed with something, I think, is something most of us can relate to, and it's just very interesting how Andrew goes about it in this movie and how this movie portrays it. Inglourious Basterds. This is another movie that just really opened my eyes to the possibility of movies. I think I kind of credit this movie with being one of the films that really pushed me into being obsessed with movies and making me want to be a filmmaker myself. This just, I had never seen a movie quite like this when I first saw it. I remember seeing it, I think the first time in 9th grade, and right from the opening scene, it absolutely blew my mind. The way Quentin Tarantino writes his characters, the way his dialogue is written, and just even the way he formats this movie in particular, the way that it's told in almost like a book, like in different chapters, the way that it's formatted like that, I absolutely loved that. Christoph Waltz is, like Hans Landa, is one of my favorite movie villains of all time. He can be weirdly charming, but also you never really know his true motive in a scene, so he's still very scary at times. Brad Pitt is absolutely hilarious, and I just love every single thing about this movie, and it is by far my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. I don't think that will ever change. Then I have The Batman. This is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time, one of my favorite movies of all time, period. Hence the reason why it's on this list. And for a while, I almost preferred this over another Batman movie that you will see in a minute. But I absolutely love everything that Matt Reeves did with this version of Batman, this version of Gotham. It's dark, it's gritty. Again, it's a murder mystery detective story, so knowing that going in, I was completely sold on the Riddler as a villain and this kind of story. I absolutely love it. And despite it being 3 hours, I think it's endlessly rewatchable. I've seen it a handful of times, and I just love every single thing every time. These next two movies I saved specifically because these are my two favorite movies of all time. When someone asks me the question, what is your favorite movie? These are always my two go-to answers. So number 2, La La Land. This is an incredible movie. Damien Chazelle, like I said, one of my favorite directors, and he just nailed every single thing about this movie. And right from the first time I saw this movie, I was just absolutely blown away. And I know I said Inglourious Basterds was one of the movies that made me want to be a filmmaker. I think when I really, really think about it, this was the movie that did it for me. As soon as the credits rolled on this movie, I just remember thinking that is what I want to do. If I can make somebody feel exactly how I felt watching this movie, then my job will be accomplished. But I really do think this was the movie that officially set me on that path and made me say, I want to be a filmmaker, do this for the rest of my life. Talking about the movie itself, if I can use one word to describe it, it would be magical. The dance choreography, the songs, just the visuals, the way it looks, all of the colors, the cinematography, it is all absolutely gorgeous. I love every single thing about it, and I just love this movie. And if I could only pick a handful of movies to keep and watch for the rest of my life, this would 100% be in there. But number one on this list, if you've watched me for a while, you know exactly what it is, The Dark Knight. This is my favorite movie of all time. If you have subscribed to me for a while, if you've seen many of my videos, then you know I talk about this movie all the time. I could talk for hours about it. I love every single thing about it. Heath Ledger is incredible. He gives one of my favorite acting performances of all time. The Joker in this movie is my favorite movie villain of all time. He's funny, he's unpredictable, he's weirdly honest, and it's all perfect. Christopher Nolan absolutely nails it. He kind of redefined the superhero genre with this whole trilogy, but more specifically with this movie. Aaron Eckhart honestly doesn't get enough recognition for his role as Two-Face. I love him in this movie. And just all around, so many iconic lines, scenes. The ending of this movie is amazing, and Hans Zimmer's score is incredible. So there you have it. Those are top 20-ish favorite movies of all time. Again, this list will probably be completely different in another month, another year, whatever. These are just the 20 movies that I wanted to sit down and talk about a little bit right at the moment. What are your 20 favorite movies of all time? Let me know down in the comments below, or just give me your top 10, top 5, whatever. I got a bunch of other content coming very soon, so stay tuned for that. And until then, subscribe to my channel, help me reach my goal of 400 subscribers. It would really mean a lot, and keep watching movies.